All right. First one here is all right. Hey everybody, my name is Augustine. I am 36 years old. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be 37 this year. I get that wrong, sort of an inside joke. But I wanted to create a first video of just summarizing everything I've learned over the last 10 to 15 years, and especially the last year of health and fitness, of building muscle, losing weight. So I wanted to do an official introduction, a summary, before I start getting into this transition that I'm already sort of into, which is like strength building, strength with hypertrophy, but also going from 5, 6 days in the gym to 3 to 4 days in the gym. So my focus is really starting to shift, and I felt it was just the right time to get it all out there for somebody else, at least for me, as I document this journey in real life. I'm some quick context here. I'm gonna be doing this grandpa style of vlogging, which is just picking a topic, turn on the camera, and I discuss, right? I've learned a lot of many things throughout the years, and discoursing back and forth, talking to somebody else, having that soundboard. For me, learning, right? I love to listen to the professor or the teacher in real time. So I can listen to 2, 4, 6 hour long podcasts. That's just my style of learning. Yes, I like to read books. I love hands-on learning, but that back and forth Q&A, that aggregation of the mind, to say, that tension, that's my style of learning. That's what I enjoy the most. So I picked the granddad, the grandfather, the grandpappy kind of style of vlogging. Just imagine your dad or grandpa, right, in the rocking chair in front of the fireplace on the front porch, a tea, a cigar, some whiskey. Whoever your grandpa is, that's basically the style I'm shooting for. So some context, yes, I am transitioning from 10 to 15 years of fitness. I am 36 years old. Like I said, I started in health and fitness when I was 18, 19 years old. I was a personal trainer at Go's Gym, and I lived and breathed the gym. I was always in the gym from 5 a.m. to midnight. So I would work there. I'd work out 2 hours a day, every day, for sure 6 days a week. Sometimes 7. The only time I would take a day off is because I was just too sore to do something. So if I was hitting my chest, for example, I hit 4 to 6 exercises, 3 to 4 sets, and that was it. So you're talking 20, 30 sets per muscle group, typical bro split, chest one day, back one day, legs one day. One day for abs, which was like day 6, because it was really just high volume. I wasn't the strongest guy, but I also didn't focus on strength. Quick story is I had a personal trainer before I started working for the gym, and he gave me basically sort of like a push-pull legs, but it was like a chest and back one day, legs and shoulder one day, and then the rest, and you did that 6 days a week. And I did that program for 1 year because I didn't know anything else. I was kind of picking up some magazines here and there because it was definitely before the YouTube era of just, you can just Google something. iPhones were just maybe coming out at that time frame. But that's all I knew was that 1 year program. And I can say pretty confidently, after that 1 year, I probably looked the same for the next 10 to 15 years, because when I started learning online from like bodybuilding.com or like these crazy T Nation kind of websites, I just had like all kinds of programs that you can like pick from, especially like the magazines with like Flex magazine and those, and like muscle magazines and all those things. The programming was just like ridiculous to be honest. So I made the best gains that first year. I actually had a trainer. It probably looked the same, but I always loved exercise, so I always exercised. I would say that. probably 4, 5, 6 days a week. It was the first thing I did every morning. I am the 5 a.m. person that just loves to go to the gym. So pulling back was the actual challenge for me. So quick, right? I told you the grandpa style. I'm going to have random stories plugged in here. Should just stay along if you don't mind. With all the back and forth, and it's all going to come together one day. So here's my and I have some bullet points, right, just to make sure I cover everything using our best friend ChatGPT here. So I started with high volume, which I discussed, bodybuilding style. That's what it was all about. Steroids were like in the gym, especially when I started working in the gym, but it was mainly like these stronger testosterone sort of pills and tablets. Maybe they were testosterone, like maybe they were kind of like peptides or stuff like that, and I just didn't know. I never took them, but I definitely saw the guys took them, and when they would take them, yes, they got crazy strong, but they also got extremely like rage symptoms, and some got really bad acne. So because I saw some of that stuff early on, I just stayed away, and I honestly looked pretty good. I'm 6'1", I was 200, 205, around 10% body fat, kind of all year long. Like that was me. Right now, I'm still obviously the same height, 6'1", but I'm currently like 225-ish, around there. I'm more of my background, I would say it come from more of the overweight to losing weight. So I've definitely been 280, 260 from like middle school, and even in recent years. As I dive in deeper, I'll share more about my journey of weight loss. But yeah, when I was part of the gym, probably from like 18, 19 years old to 21, maybe 23, I was always hovering around 200, 205, 10% body fat, and I could eat whatever I wanted, had a high metabolism, right? I was working out 6, 7 days a week. Didn't have anything else. If I wasn't working, I was working out. If I wasn't doing those things, I was playing video games. So I was not doing nothing, So yeah. So that's like my evolution of training real quick. So some of the lessons learned, I would say, from this past year, I would say it's definitely consistency. It's good. And I know you hear that a lot, consistency. But I'll add one more thing, and that's intensity. Because without intensity, you're not going to really get results if your goal is results. If your goal is just going to the gym to feel good, get some endorphins, break a sweat, socialize, do those things, sure, maybe you'll gain some muscle here or there. Maybe you'll lose 5 to 10 pounds here or there, but you're going to like go through this crazy cycle. If you have a specific goal of muscle building, a specific goal of strength building, of you want to lose 50 pounds by X date, intensity and intentionality definitely matter. But I am definitely of the approach of don't do something you don't like for too long, because you're probably not going to stick with it. If you like doing something and we can just tweak it a little bit, because in 6 months, a year, or even 3 to 5 years from now, it aligns with what you want, then do that. So yes, consistency. But, if you're part of the gym, if you're watching this, if you're a dad overweight looking to, drop some weight, build some muscle, and you're limited on time, talking 3-4 days a week, intensity matters. Same, I'm going to speak to the dads. Your digestion matters, your sleep matters, the way you manage your stress, right? Your libido, all those things matter. So if all those things just are not driving, they're not in sync, they're not aligned, your performance is going to suffer, in all areas. So I imagine I'm mainly going to be talking to guys 25 to 45 years old, maybe those looking to get married, those that are married, some maybe that are divorced, want their wife backs, maybe some that gained that first 20 pounds when you get married. You get 20 pounds when you start a career, get 20 pounds when you have your first kid, That's just real talk. I'm going to lay it out as simple as possible. I'm not going to use big, crazy terms. I like to break things down super simple, because I'm going to actually implement the things I'm learning. So that's why I want to document this as well. And some things that manage that kind of really do matter, tracking. Yes, tracking your macros, it's important. Depending on your goal, it's extremely important. Tracking your weight daily and getting that weekly average, super important. Tracking your digestion, that's important, right? Getting fiber, that's old man talk, literally. 25, 35, even maybe 60 grams of fiber a day, you will see a huge difference in just your digestive system, the comfort that you're giving your body from like not having to stress and hold on to things. If you're dehydrated, start drinking some water. Like just little things. Tracking your lifts in the gym. How much weight are you putting? Are you progressing week over week? Those things, they matter. Something I like to say for myself is your data is your roadmap. So my data literally has been my roadmap. The more data I have on myself that I track, it's just night and day. From tracking my macros Monday through Sunday, now Monday through Friday. From tracking my lifts, Sunday last week, okay, the next Sunday comes, can you add a rep? Can you add 5 pounds? Don't beat yourself up, because sometimes you don't show up with just enough sleep, just enough food. So routines definitely matter. There's a lot that goes on into the journey of health and fitness, and I love it. I've been doing it almost 20 years now. And so now I'm just really sharing with it. I feel like I have something to offer, and those that I resonate with, they're definitely gonna, get something out of it. Next part here, what worked well? Hypertrophy and fat loss, right? So I definitely was typical gym bro. Now, one muscle group a day had its own day. I went from not push-pull legs, but like a legs push pull rest, legs push pull. I've done the upper lower, which I surprisingly enough, I started to really like doing 4 days a week. And the reason I entered 4 days a week is because 6 days a week I started just to get really burnt out. 5 days a week I was still not bringing my best self to that fourth and fifth workout. Especially if you work out 5 days straight and don't split up like 2 to 3 days rest, 2 to 3 days rest. That fifth day, you're not at 100%. I'll tell you right now. Unless you're not doing anything, you don't have a lot of responsibilities. But if you have responsibilities, rest, recover, come back stronger the next day. There's definitely, I'll say, some supplements that are staples for me now. Creatine, ashwagandha for stress management, not really for necessarily anything else. I love me a good pre-workout. I love me a good pump product. If I can get the pre and the pump before I go to hit a session, I'm all about it. I do drink my EAAs because I work out early in the morning, so I don't want to break down too much protein, and I want to recover properly, and it keeps me full as I work out. My workouts are probably around like an hour and a half, so I don't mind being in the gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's something I love. Like I said, the challenge for me was pulling back, and I've seen some great results just by pulling back, because I like to give 100% almost every time, and that's just the person I am. So yeah, so next part was kind of like me breaking down why I went from 6 days to 4 days. Kind of already talked about it. I definitely had my issues with my lower back. I'm feeling super strong though. But now to get into where I'm going, that's strength. So before I get into where I'm going, let me summarize this quick fat loss for 2025. I am in week 3 of a reverse diet. So that's 14 weeks of calorie deficit, 3 weeks of adding more calories back. So within the 12 to 14 week actual diet, which a reverse diet is a diet, something I learned. I lost about 25 pounds. I started at 252 pounds around mid to late February of 2025. And as of today, we're still in late June, I would say that much. I'm still waking up around 225, 227, even eating an additional 1,200 calories a week. And that's still having basically a cheat meal once a week. It's really just going from dieting from a 14 weeks, and I did have a coach, and I still have a coach, to a slow progressing of out of the diet, meaning adding 200 calories, to each week, when as long as things are feeling good and looking good, because you see your actual results coming once you start to get those carbs back in their body. And for me, it was just time to transition. My strength was already going down. My digestion was suffering. When it came to 5, 6 p.m., I was on the couch, not doing anything. And yeah, the desire to like go to the gym was like diminishing. So it was, and I I went from 6 days to working out to 5 days. And I was like, okay, let's go 4 days, and it was kind of it. It was like all the signs were saying, hey, let's stop the diet. And so that's what I did. I stopped the diet. I listened to myself, for once. And yeah, and I'm not like harsh on myself. I definitely was at one point, talking down, because I put a 6-month goal and I only did 4 months of it. It's like, I gave myself the timeline. So that's the biggest thing, is just like, believe yourself, trust yourself, have confidence in yourself. Nobody knows my body like me. I can tell you that much. So all the signs were just saying, hey, Augie, tap out before you get tapped out, sort of thing. I'm loving the reverse diet. It's a huge learning curve. I don't think I've ever reversed diet, because after 14 weeks of dieting, you don't want a reverse diet, because the reverse diet is more important than the actual diet that you lost the weight, because you don't want to bounce back, and you want to take advantage of kind of the state your body's in too, like all the nice sensitivity to carbs that it's in. So you want to keep fueling it really good stuff, move forward. You'll see your muscles fill out. And then I'm in week 3, so I can definitely tell my strength is really coming back. And once I get to probably week 8, week 9, once I'm fully out of the reverse diet and a good maintenance, I'm going to stay there. And I can definitely tell I'm going to probably get the strongest I've ever been. Which is going into why I'm transitioning into strength training. Something was just telling me like, it's time to get strong, for many different reasons. I'm a dad of 3, a wife. All my kids are 6 years old and younger. I'm 8 years into my career. And so I'm just taking life more serious than I've ever been. And, especially once I decided to hire a coach this year, start tracking all the metrics, investing into supplements, investing into gyms, like having multiple gym memberships. It's a thing, that change of environment does really help, and who you get around. So all of those things, just getting more serious, drilling down into my finances, earning more income over the last 3 to 5 years. Like, so when your income goes up and your weight goes down and your results are just like this, confidence, so why don't you just want to keep going into it and doubling down? And for me, the doubling down is not necessarily doing more workouts. It actually was just being more educated and taking a step back. And it's the same thing with finances. It wasn't like working more hours. It was just like, okay, you have the money coming in, now tell it where to go, So it's especially been a great experience, I can tell you that much. And it's still gonna keep going. So yeah, some of the key lifts I'm looking to build are like my bench, obviously my RDLs. I don't do traditional deadlifts. You'll learn that about me. I don't deadlift. I don't bench that very often with a barbell. And I definitely don't squat. I did injure my lower back about almost 2 years ago now. So me doing heavy RDLs is a fantastic thing, and I'm very proud of it. And it's also introduced me to hip thrusting. So if you're a guy who sits down a lot, hip thrusting, working on your glutes, that does wonders for your lower back. So I am a believer in building your glutes, especially if you're a guy, because it does a lot for your confidence, your posture support, and your lower back pains. I mean, after a few weeks of just hip thrusting 2 to 3 times a week, my lower back pain was non-existent. I'm a big believer in steps, so I do get about that 10 to 15,000 steps a day, especially right now it's summertime, so it's easy to go outside and take a walk. And I do take structured deloads, so I push myself 3 to 4 to 5 weeks and take a step back, push myself and take a step back. So, and I'm learning strength right now. So hypertrophy, building muscle, is different than building strength. I'm learning through all that, which I love learning. So, which was another cue to just kind of put this out there. That way my mind can be free and I can just share kind of what's really going on currently in my life. Like I said, I recently lost 25 pounds. So 25 pounds ago, I was not that confident to turn on the camera and just start talking, right? Even though I talk for a living, almost every day of the week, getting on social media was a different part of me coming out and displaying that in front of everybody. So you do get some confidence when you lose some weight. You do get some confidence when you build some strength. You do get some confidence, obviously, when you earn more money too. But it's all like an alignment for me. I believe in God. I have a wife. I have kids. My wife is stay at home. We are a homeschool family. We're a religious family. So obviously my alignment matters. And that's probably something too I'm going to bring that's different for the fitness industry or the fitness influencer industry that's online nowadays. So now I'm at the end of all my notes, right? So I just want you guys to kind of see what's going on in real life for a gym dad, for a dad that goes to the gym, for a dad that has some weight to lose, for a dad that lives real life, that has a career, that works Monday through Friday, that has the kids after work, that helps, around the house when I can, that has a yard, pushes the lawnmower, right? Does that everyday kind of stuff. And yeah, you can go to the gym. It's not inconvenient. It's one of those pillars that kind of like raises everything else. Getting the gym down, and the gym for me is kind of like the first place I've ever transformed as a human being. So I went from 280 pounds to 200 pounds. That's significant. And I didn't do that once. I've actually done that like 2 or 3 times, and that's the bounce back. That's the rest of the story we have to fill in over the next videos and vlogs. And I'm just really putting this out there to see if people in the area of life that I'm in, right? That mid to late 30s, family is coming, family is here. That get ready for the next generation. Be a better father. Be a good role model. And just give that good example of what good actually does look like, because we don't have many of those examples in our lives. I can tell you firsthand that there's not a lot of good examples of what good as a dad looks like. We have a lot of facades, we have a lot of macho man kind of stuff being tossed at us, and I'm telling you that's not my style. I lock in when I'm gonna hit the weights, but I don't bring that mentality into the house. It's different. Yeah, you are the security of your home. But the way you think that plays out is not exactly the way you think it probably needs to. So I'm just here to share. If you find value in it, I appreciate it. Leave a comment, keep it going. I'm gonna try and do this at least once a week, once every 2 weeks at minimum. I will share my workouts in a long form, but I kind of like this grandpa style vlogging. You just put up the camera, got a microphone. I'll show you how I eat, the supplements, the workout routines, the actual day-to-day, the day in the life kind of stuff, just as it goes, but there it is. First one's out there. Have a good day.